There is a reason it feels like you've been circling the same mountain, trying harder, learning more, vision boarding, scripting, speaking affirmations into the mirror with clenched fists and hopeful eyes. There is a reason why you've felt the nearness of your desires like a scent on the wind, but when you reach, they vanish again. It's not that you're doing it wrong, it's that you've been trained to look in the wrong place. The truth about manifestation is not hidden in a secret technique or a complicated method. It's not buried in a new method, a 30-day challenge, or a morning routine with 12 steps. It's so simple that it's often the first thing we overlook. It's so natural that your body already knows it, even if your mind hasn't caught up. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you are. And what you are is not a thought, not a to-do list, not even your intention. What you are is your frequency, your embodied moment-by-moment signal. And that signal is being broadcast through your nervous system, your breath, your posture, your beliefs, your self-permission. Can you feel the paradox? You are the transmitter and the receiver. You are both the seed and the soil. And yet you've been taught to fix the fruit, to rearrange the branches, when all along the root is where your power lives. So pause, breathe. Let yourself feel the truth of this in your own body. When you stopped chasing for a moment, in that breath between efforts, didn't life meet you with an unexpected grace? When you surrendered the outcome, didn't something unfold in a way your mind couldn't have orchestrated? This is coherence. This is resonance. This is alignment, not a performance, not a practice, a remembering. Because the truth is, you were never meant to force reality to bend to your will. You were meant to become a vibrational match to the version of you who already lives that reality. And becoming her isn't about doing more. It's about releasing everything that blocks her signal. Every thought that says not yet. Every feeling that says not safe. Every belief that whispers not me. She's not far. She's frequency close. And the more you relax into her energy, the more the world begins to shift. Not because you manipulated the outside, but because you became unmistakably magnetic from the inside. Alignment is not an achievement. It's a remembering. It's the exhale after holding your breath for too long. It's the moment you stop negotiating your worth and start embodying it. It's the knowing, deep in your bones, that you don't need to prove your readiness. You are the evidence. You are the proof. And when you return to that knowing, when you live from it, not just think about it, life responds. Not as a reward, as a reflection. So the next time you wonder why it hasn't shown up yet, don't ask, what am I missing? Ask, who am I being? And even more softly, what am I remembering? There was a time, maybe yesterday, maybe years ago, when you felt the pulse of possibility rise inside you, a moment of clarity, of desire so pure it made your heart ache and your chest expand. In that moment, you saw it, felt it, knew it, the life, the love, the version of you that called you forward. And then, almost as quickly, the static returned. The noise of the world, the old stories, the subtle tightening in your stomach, the unspoken fear that said, but how? Or worse, but who am I to want that? This is where most people get stuck. Not because they lack faith, but because they've misinterpreted the signal. You think you need more willpower, more vision, more focus. But what you really need is safety, energetic safety, nervous system safety, the kind that says, it's okay to have this now. It's okay to let it be easy. It's okay to receive without struggle. Because your body doesn't care what your mind wants. It responds to what feels familiar, what feels safe. And if abundance, love, ease, if those things once felt dangerous or unpredictable, your system will resist them, even while you consciously crave them. This isn't sabotage, it's self-protection. And manifestation cannot override your biology. It must include it. This is why embodiment is the key. Because when you begin to become the version of you who already has it, your body starts to relax into the new frequency. You no longer perform abundance. You embody it. You no longer chase love. You emanate it. Think of a time you walked into a room and felt someone's presence before they even spoke. They didn't try. They simply were. That is the power of coherent embodiment. It's not about what you say or do. It's about who you've allowed yourself to be in your cells, your breath, your field. And you cannot fake that. You cultivate it through choice. through returning, again and again, to the felt sense of wholeness inside you, even if it's only for one breath at a time. This is how timelines collapse, not with urgency, but with intimacy. Because when you truly align with a frequency, you no longer need to wait for results. You are the result. And life always mirrors you back. So begin here, not with a goal, with a breath, not with effort, with essence. Let your body feel what it's like to belong in the life you desire. Let your heart rehearse the vibration of already having it. Let your nervous system normalize the feeling of yes, because the truth is, you are not becoming her. You're remembering her. And in that remembering, something quiet but seismic begins to shift. You stop scanning the horizon for signs and start noticing the subtle way your inner world rearranges itself to match the frequency you've chosen. It's like watching fog lift over a familiar landscape. Everything was always there, but now, finally, you can see. The truth is, reality is not reacting to your effort. It's responding to your essence. And your essence is most potent not when you try to be magnetic, but when you are most deeply yourself, unmasked, unguarded, untangled from performance. You know this because you've felt it before. The way a song can unlock tears you didn't know you were holding. The way one deep exhale can soften a week's worth of tension. The way a stranger's presence can feel like home for no logical reason. Those are moments when your frequency aligned so fully with truth that reality didn't have a choice but to respond. So why do we keep complicating it? Because simplicity terrifies the mind. The ego thrives on process, on effort, on things to fix and goals to chase. It tells you that if it's not hard, it can't be real. If you didn't suffer for it, you don't deserve it. But your soul knows better. Your soul knows that the real power lies in stillness, in sincerity, in the courage to be fully available to what is already here. And what's already here is enoughness. Not in some abstract, spiritual bypass way, but in a grounded, embodied knowing that says, this version of me, as I am, is already a match to miracles. From this place, manifestation becomes less about creating and more about revealing. You don't make the path, you remember it. You don't chase the life. You relax into the timeline that already holds it, and that timeline responds, not with fireworks, but with coherence. With synchronicity, with the quiet thrill of noticing how everything starts to feel like a yes. You meet people who reflect your new identity. Opportunities arise without strain. Old habits fall away like leaves in autumn, not because you forced change, but because you outgrew the vibration that held them in place. This is the work, but it's not the kind of work that exhausts. It's the kind that restores, the kind that repatterns your being from the inside out. And as you keep choosing to align, not once, but moment by moment, life begins to bend toward you, not in submission, but in recognition. Because now, you're not asking for it, you're being it. So let's go deeper, into the place where your mind cannot follow, but your body always remembers. Let's talk about vibration, not as an idea, as a lived, moment-by-moment truth. Because if manifestation is the mirror, then vibration is the message you're sending. And the message isn't spoken in words. It's spoken in breath, in muscle, in memory, in the quiet language of coherence, when your thoughts, emotions, and actions hum in harmony with the life you say you want. But what happens when they don't? What happens when you're thinking abundance, but your body is tensing in lack? When you're saying, I am worthy, but your heart is whispering, not yet, not you. That's where the real work begins. Not in pushing harder, but in softening deeper. Because vibration doesn't lie. It's not what you think you believe. It's what your nervous system has learned is safe. So let's look at that. Have you ever caught yourself shrinking in the presence of your own desire? You imagine it, you taste it, and then your chest closes, your breath shortens, your mind starts to spiral with all the reasons why it's impossible. That is your signal. That is the place to meet with compassion, not criticism. Because every contraction is just an old program running, one that learned somewhere along the way that having too much would make you unsafe, that shining too brightly would get you rejected, that asking for more was dangerous. And so your body adapted. It learned to survive by dimming, delaying, doubting. But survival is not your destiny. Thriving is your truth. And to thrive, you must retrain your system to feel safe in receiving. This is why embodiment is not optional. It's essential. You cannot think your way into alignment. You must feel your way there. You must become the version of you who walks with ease, speaks with certainty, and opens to life with trust, even when the evidence isn't there yet. Because the evidence will never come first. You are the evidence. You are the one who decides, not just with your words, but with your entire frequency, that it's safe to let it in now. Safe to live as if it's already done. Safe to stop rehearsing struggle and start rehearsing joy. So start small. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breath deepen. Let your belly soften. Feel what it's like to belong in this body, in this moment, without needing to fix anything. That is manifestation. That is magnetic. Because the more your body feels safe in the vibration of what you desire, the faster reality reorganizes to match it. And not in a linear way, in a quantum way. Moments collapse, timelines merge, opportunities show up out of nowhere, because you've become the kind of person they show up for. Not with force, with frequency. Not through chasing, through choosing. And the most powerful choice you can make? To live today as if the thing you desire is already here. Not to pretend, but to remember. To feel the version of you who already has it, and let her guide you home. And so we arrive at the threshold, the moment where choice meets embodiment, where your past no longer has the final word, and the future is shaped not by force, but by frequency. This is where many turn back, because it doesn't feel like the crescendo they imagined. It feels quieter, still, almost too simple to be real. But that's where the magic lives, in the simplicity. You've spent years conditioning your body to believe that transformation must come through tension, that you must do something radical to become someone new. But the real shift, the one that collapses timelines and alters the entire trajectory of your life, it begins in the subtle, in the breath before action, in the energy behind the choice, in the safety of your own presence. Because if your nervous system isn't on board, your desires won't land. They'll orbit around you like possibilities just out of reach, and you'll wonder why you're always so close, yet somehow never inside. This isn't punishment. It's physics. It's frequency. You are a tuning fork, a lighthouse, a signal tower, and you don't attract what you think. You attract what your body believes is safe to hold. And so the question becomes, can you regulate your system to feel safe in joy, safe in visibility, safe in abundance without guilt, in love without collapse, in peace without waiting for the next storm? This is the sacred preparation most people skip, not because they don't want to do the work, but because they're still looking for the next step outside of themselves. But what if there's nowhere to get to? What if everything you're calling in already exists in a version of now, and your only task is to attune, to breathe in a way that signals, I'm ready, to stand in a way that whispers, I already am, to speak with the tone of someone who remembers, not someone who is trying to prove. This isn't about pretending. It's not about faking it until you make it. It's about practicing the physiology of the future you until it no longer feels like practice. Because the truth is, your nervous system is always eavesdropping on your frequency. It's listening to how you wake up in the morning, how you respond to uncertainty, how you speak to yourself when no one else is around. That is your real manifestation technique. Not the journal, not the ritual, not the vision board, unless those things bring you into deeper coherence with the identity you're becoming. Because if they're just more ways to try to get something, they'll keep reinforcing the frequency of not having. But if they become sacred tools to become someone, to inhabit a new baseline of safety, permission, and presence, then yes, they become potent. Then yes, they become magnetic. Because coherence is magnetic, not perfection, not performance. Coherence. When what you desire, what you believe, and what you feel are singing the same note. And coherence doesn't mean constant positivity. It means honesty. It means allowing what's real to rise, fear, grief, doubt, and meeting it with compassion so your body no longer needs to protect you by pushing the dream away. This is emotional alchemy, not from force, from frequency. So ask yourself gently, if my dream came true today, would my body feel safe receiving it? Would I have the capacity to hold it, to enjoy it, To let it be mine without contraction? If the answer is no, that's not failure. That's feedback. That's the place where your real power lives. Because every time you breathe safety into that place, every time you choose regulation over reactivity, presence over panic, you're shifting the signal, and the universe responds immediately to signal. Not later, now, not with effort, with essence. And the more you embody the frequency of already having, not pretending, but truly becoming, the more the world bends to match the new coordinates you now occupy, not because you chased it, because you remembered you already are it. And once you truly remember, not as a fleeting idea, but as a lived cellular knowing, everything changes, not always dramatically at first. Often it begins in whispers, in the way you walk through your home differently, in the way your gaze softens when you look in the mirror, in the way you no longer argue with your desires, but begin to make space for them like honored guests returning home. That is the shift from seeking to receiving. You begin to realize that what you desire isn't far. It's just frequency specific. It lives on a channel that you've learned to tune away from because of old stories, old wounds, old conditions. But the channel is still there, always. And the tuning happens not through striving, but through allowing. You don't manifest by convincing the universe. You manifest by relaxing into coherence. You allow your nervous system to open. You allow your breath to slow. You allow your presence to stretch wide enough to hold both the dream and the discomfort, because they often arrive together. Growth is a paradox. You become more of who you are by shedding who you were pretending to be. You step into your power by allowing your softness. You receive more by needing less. This is the quantum path, where time doesn't move in straight lines, and outcomes don't depend on effort alone. They depend on identity, on the signal you're sending with your being. And that signal is clearest when you're not trying to prove anything. You become magnetic, not by chasing the thing, but by becoming the one who no longer doubts it's hers. And this doesn't mean you won't wobble. Of course you will. You're human. You're layered. You're learning to walk in a new timeline with muscles that are still growing. But now, you have a choice. When the wobble comes, and it will, you no longer spiral into self-doubt. You meet it with awareness. You ask, what frequency am I broadcasting right now? And what would safety feel like in this moment? You regulate. You realign. You remember. This is how identity becomes stable, not by locking yourself into a role, but by anchoring into truth again and again. The truth that you are already whole, that you are already worthy, that your desires are not random. They are remembering trying to make their way home through you. So let them. Let your vision be more than fantasy. Let it be instruction. Let it be blueprint. Let it be embodiment. And if you're wondering what that actually looks like, it's simple. It's choosing the thoughts that soothe instead of spiral. It's moving your body in a way that honors your aliveness. It's creating space in your environment that mirrors the spaciousness you want inside. It's saying no to what contracts you and yes to what expands you, even if no one else understands. Because this is not about them. This is about you and the field you are shaping with your every breath, your every choice, your every embodied exhale that says, I am ready, not ready to chase, ready to be, ready to receive without resistance, ready to walk as the version of you who already knows it's hers, not because she earned it, not because she begged for it, but because she remembered who she is. And in that remembrance, life rearranges itself. It can't help it, because coherence is irresistible. And the more you live from this coherence, not occasionally, but as your baseline, the more life begins to feel like a mirror that has finally been cleaned. Not because everything becomes perfect, but because everything becomes clear. You see what's aligned. You feel what's true. You no longer cling to what drains you, because your nervous system no longer confuses suffering with safety. And without that confusion, you're free. Free to choose from clarity instead of fear. Free to respond to life with presence instead of pattern. Free to receive without grasping, because what's meant for you no longer feels like a prize to win. It feels like a match to honor. And here's the deeper truth. Manifestation is not about summoning something external. It's about revealing what's already aligned with your most coherent self. When you embody the version of you who has, you collapse the distance between desire and reality, because you stop asking from the energy of please and begin receiving from the frequency of thank you. And that shift, from seeking to gratitude, changes everything. Think about it. When you walk through your day in the energy of lack, your choices shrink, your breath shortens, your body braces. But when you walk through your day in the frequency of having, even if the evidence hasn't yet arrived, your field expands, your posture softens, your presence glows. You don't just attract different outcomes, you become different space. People feel it, opportunities feel it, life feels it, because you're no longer waiting to become magnetic. You are the magnet. You're no longer waiting for proof. You are the proof. So the question becomes, how do you maintain that frequency when the old reality still surrounds you? How do you hold the signal of already done when the 3D is echoing not yet? The answer is not to fight what is. The answer is to stay devoted to what's deeper. To root yourself so fully in the identity of your future self that the noise of the old timeline becomes background static, noticed, but no longer obeyed. You do this by tending to your field like a sacred garden. You notice what contracts you and remove it gently. You notice what expands you and move closer. You speak to yourself like you would a child who's learning to walk, with encouragement, with patience, with awe, at every step. This is not delusion. This is discipline, the discipline of devotion to your becoming. Because embodiment doesn't mean pretending everything's fine. It means you choose not to abandon yourself even when things feel uncertain. It means you continue broadcasting the signal of yes, even when reality hasn't yet caught up. You trust the lag. You trust the quantum. You trust that the vibration you hold consistently will override the momentum of the old pattern. Not instantly, but inevitably. Because energy always wins. Always. So stay in the signal. Not perfectly, but faithfully. Let your baseline become resonance. Let your presence become your portal. Let every moment become a prayer of alignment. I am already here. I am already home. And now, feel this. Not with your mind, but with your body, with your breath, with that quiet space just beneath your ribs where truth settles before you even have words for it. Feel the version of you who doesn't chase anymore, who doesn't wait for proof, who doesn't oscillate between hope and doubt like a pendulum swinging between timelines. Feel the you who walks as embodiment, not aspiration, who lives not in the question of if, but in the certainty of when, and even more powerfully, in the joy of now. Because this is the moment, not some future arrival, not some polished perfect version of you who never gets triggered, never wobbles, never fears. No, this version of you, here and now, breathing into her becoming, softening into her signal, choosing again and again to remember instead of reach. This is the woman who manifests, not because she figured out the steps, but because she returned to her frequency, not because she proved her worth, but because she finally stopped arguing with it, not because she pushed harder, but because she let go of control and made room for resonance. This is the miracle, and it's never been far. It's always been just one breath deeper than your mind, one layer softer than your defense, one choice braver than your past. So ask yourself now, and not just with curiosity, but with reverence, what would it feel like to fully live as her? To trust the pull more than the plan, to embody ease without guilt, to show up as if nothing was missing, not because you're pretending, but because you've practiced that truth so deeply, it's rewired your reality. Because that's what manifestation really is. Not the arrival of something new, the revealing of what your soul always knew was yours, the melting of resistance around what was already waiting, and that waiting ends now. Because you no longer delay your alignment until the results show. You reverse the equation. You embody the signal. You become the evidence. You show yourself, and the universe, what it looks like to live from truth, not tension. To receive from coherence, not control. To exist, moment by moment, as a living invitation for your desires to land. Not with noise, with clarity. Not with hustle, with harmony. Not someday, now. So close your eyes, if only for a breath. Feel your own energy field expanding around you like a soft hum. See her, the version of you who lives in alignment, not as a fantasy, but as a frequency. Feel what she feels. Think as she thinks. Move as she moves. Speak as she speaks. Let her become not something you visualize, but someone you remember. Let the remembering root you deeper than fear ever could. Because the truth about manifestation was never complex. It was never something to chase or earn or decode. It was always this simple. So simple it's been overlooked. Remember, align, receive.